Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transplant Talk with Shonda. It is a thankful Thursday, and we're definitely blessed and highly favored to be here with you today. And I'm so excited. Listen, I know my background and everything look a little different. We did a throwback Thursday for today, right? Did a throwback Thursday because normally y'all know I had moved into my studio, right? Howsoever, I have the privilege of having my special guest in house with me today. Okay, so I have not had the opportunity to interview somebody in person since like February 2020. Okay, so with that being said, let's get down to business first. Hey, Miss Lisa. Hey, Tanya, how are you? Listen, Tanya, I had to get all this stuff done today. I literally had to channel Chris today just to make sure that all of this works. So I'm so grateful for Chris Britton to show me how to do all of these things to make this quick turnaround to be able to do the show. Thank you so much for watching, Lisa and Tanya. Thank y'all so much. All right. Remember, Save 1,000 Lives is in recognition of, in honor of my late husband, Leonard Wayne Larimore, who passed away waiting on a heart and a kidney. And we know for the community, we're trying to bring awareness and get 1,000 people registered to become organ donors in honor of him. So if you would go to register me, or of course I have to show you all, if you would go to register me or donatelifeflorida.org and put this information in, I will greatly appreciate it. Okay, so once you fill it out, name and everything down here at the bottom, and ask you how did you learn about us, click other, and then save 1,000 lives. And so that is what we are doing today. Now, as I put on the post, we stayed in Florida this week. We stayed in Florida, and today we're in Jacksonville, Florida, which is where I'm from. So y'all know what I need you all to do, right? Go ahead and tell me, where's everyone from? Drop it in the chat. Tell me where you're from. And if you have any questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat as well. Greatly appreciate that too. Okay. So today's guest is Mr. Y'all, he's a Hall of Famer. Okay. He's modest about it, but he is indeed Florida Agriculture Mechanical University Sports Hall of Fame. And I couldn't be prouder because y'all know it's FAMU all day, every day. So to have another rattler, another athlete here on the show, thank you. Let me give a shout out to Rod because I'm pretty sure if I don't, it's going to be some words said. So thank you, Rod and Roger Jackson, okay, for making sure that you connected me with Mr. Bryan Brewer. And Bryan is a double transplant recipient, okay? He received a kidney and he also received a pancreas. What a blessing. And so, of course, we're going to get down into our story. We're going to bring him on again, guys. He is live in my house. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be able to do this with him today. And shout out to his son that is playing for, y'all get this, it is no longer EWC. They are officially Edward Waters University. And so his son is playing for Edward Waters University. I got a few students over there on the team too. So shout out to Bryce and EWU football team and their coaches over there. So that's enough of my yapping. All right, we're going to get down. We're going to bring Mr. Bryan Brewer on. All right. Hello, Bryan.
Hello, how are you? Hi,
There you go.
how are you?
Great, y'all. I hope everyone can hear me because we're going to try to have this conversation right here, right now, live. So this is awesome. Hello, Christopher. Wonderful to meet you. and thank you for being on the live. So, Bryan, who are you? Tell the audience who you are. Little snippet about yourself.
Little snippet. My name is Bryan Brewer. I was born in Bradenton, Florida. I later on moved to Sarasota, Florida, and again to Orlando, Florida, where I went to school and graduated at Orlando Jones. I graduated at Orlando Jones High School in 1986 and began my journey in college at Florida A&M.
Okay, y'all. Y'all heard him. Rattlers forever. Rattlers forever, right? Now, we know that this has definitely been a journey for you because of what you have endured. Um, Tell everybody a little bit about what you endured. Tell us about when you found out that you needed to have a a transplant.
Sure. I'll be happy to share that with you guys. I want to thank you again first for having me on. I began, I guess, like any other normal young man, like I said, on my endeavor to play college football, and things were good. Always good in the beginning. Things were good. Life was good. I stayed at Florida A&M from 1986 to 1988. During that time, I accumulated a football stat record of sacks. I think I had like 24 sacks within a 2-season period, give or take. And they gave me the name Sack Man. So I became number 94, Bryan Brewer, the Sack Man. What I didn't understand was all of the responsibilities that came along with being a student athlete, because I neglected a lot of them. And I say this with openness because I don't want any young Asiatic, African, any young man to think that there's an easy way out. There's no easy way out. As far as going to practice, yes, you have to go. As far as being to meetings, yes, you have to go. I took it for granted. In any event, I endured my time at Florida A&M up until I transferred to Texas Southern University. When I transferred to Texas Southern University, I had to sit out a year. During that time, I was more excited about my career than I think I had been when I was at Florida A&M, because I had a different focus. I think I was closer to achieving a goal that I had set for myself. In any event, I sat out a year. During that year, I coached Michael Strahan, Kevin Harris, Kevin Johnson, a couple of other guys, Melvin Evans, some guys that played in the league. So that year I sat out, and again, because I was athletically, I guess more blessed than the usual athlete would be, because I didn't practice. I'll tell you guys that I had a problem with authority. I had a problem with doing the things that I wanted to do versus doing the things that should be done. So when I got out to Texas Southern, I began to coach. And after I coached that year, it was my year to play. So I got an opportunity to play with Michael Strahan and all those guys I told you about. After that year, I left to go and get me an agent because I had thought that it was time for me to try something different, and I was ready to try it. So during that year, I set out, I trained, I grabbed me an agent, I trained, I did all the things that those guys do. Um, Made it to the league, got opportunity to go try out with the Giants. I tried out, I did well. Um, Again, because I was a selfish person, they wanted me to stay in New York when I went out to try out for the team. They wanted to give me a contract, 2-year deal, and they wanted me to stay. But because I had so much going on in my life, once again, I said I was, doing a lot of things. I I left, but before I left, the physician at the New York Giants stadium told me that I should go and see a physician and get my hemoglobin A1C checked out. I was just an athlete. I didn't know what a hemoglobin A1C was.
Never heard of
it. In any event, I didn't pay him any mind. I went back to Houston and I started doing all the things that a young athlete who's getting ready to go in the league does. I started doing things in excess, I think.
So let me ask you this. How old were you at this age?
Actually, I was at the time 21. I was 21 years old. And I think I had just gotten a physical.
Okay.
Prior to him telling me about the A1C. But the doctor didn't tell me anything then, so that made me think about a lot of other stuff that goes on too that, guys talk about that I never thought that would happen, but they happen. Things happen. In any event, when I came back to Houston, like I told you, I was excited, getting my house in order. And I was with a guy who had retired from the league by the name of Charles Williams, if I'm not mistaken. He played for the Green Bay Packers during the time when Jim McMahon and the Chicago Bears were playing. In any event, he was one of the guys that I had been taking care of because he was doing dialysis because he had neglected steroids. I knew nothing about the steroid deal. It wasn't because he was a diabetic. It was because he neglected steroids during his tenure in college, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. This was the first time I had ever heard anything about a dialysis.
So he was on dialysis and you were taking care of him?
Yes, he was on. Actually, the reason I was taking care of him was because his wife then and my girlfriend were sisters. Maybe anyway, but yeah, so that's how I got to take care of this guy, and he was one of the most cheerful people I had ever seen in my life. I mean, even though he had things popping out of his arms and he's going through all of this, not once did he ever show me a negative view to this. Okay. But anyway, that was part of the experience I first had with dialysis. Okay. So During this time, while I'm waiting on a signing bonus from the Giants, I have been doing a lot of excess, and I began to lose tremendous amount of weight. And I couldn't understand it because I had been working out and doing everything that I was supposed to do, but I was losing weight. Not only was I losing weight, my thirst was unquenchable. It's like I used to, I mean, it was unquenchable. I mean, it had to be cold and it had to be a lot of it. And so for about maybe a month after I got back, my wife now.
Hey, wife name. Say wife's name.
Alicia, my wife's name is Alicia Brewer.
Hi, Miss Alicia.
She and I had a mutual friend at the time, and I happened to be over to his place when she came by. And when she came by, she didn't know I was there. I was hiding myself from her because I knew the way that I looked. It looked that I was like I was doing something else, you know.
Okay. Yes, yes.
And so
something in those streets.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
But it wasn't that. But in any event, when she finally found out that I was in the apartment, I think I made some noise upstairs. It was like a loft, and she heard it. And she asked our friend who was upstairs. And so he said, I don't know. She ran upstairs, and there I was. So when she saw me, she began to cry. I didn't understand it. Again, like I said, I thought I was all right, you know, just lost a couple of pounds, but I'm good. But what I didn't know was that I hadn't lost a couple of pounds. I had lost like 110 pounds.
Because I know you shared with me earlier, your weight used to be 265.
Yeah, I weighed 265 pounds.
And so you dropped a whole person.
Yeah.
And you didn't recognize it.
Well, the thing about it was, I thought I was getting sexy. I thought it looked good. You know, I mean, you have to remember, when you 265, you got some, you know.
You got muscles.
Yeah.
You got a six pack.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
So we flagged
out. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
so when she saw me, she began to cry, and she asked me what was wrong, and my reply was, I don't know.
And you never went to the doctor like he told you to do?
Never. Never. I continued with my extracurricular. I went with Charles. We went to the strip clubs. We did all the stuff that guys do.
Why didn't you go to the doctor?
Well, I was getting ready to go get a lot of money. The doctor didn't matter to me then.
But the money wouldn't have mattered if you was dead.
Yeah, but the man had already told me to go to the doctor. Like I said, I had problem with who?
Yourself.
Yeah, not authority. Anyway.
Okay.
But what happened was, I think she told me that she was going to take me home with her. I was living with someone at the time, but each time I told that person, they was just like, oh, you all right, you're all right. So I was telling that person because she was the one that saw me drinking all the water. She the one saw me going to the bathroom and just standing there like I'm exhausted, you know. So when my now wife saw me,
come on, wife,
she knew immediately that something was wrong. So what she told me was that I was going home with her, I went home. I went home with her.
Mhm.
She fed me. She put me to bed because she worked at night.
Okay.
But she assured me when she got off that morning, we would go to the hospital.
Mhm.
Best rest I ever had.
Mm.
I laid there. She woke me up the next morning. We went to the emergency room.
Come on, wife.
And because I was doing all those things I told you that I have been doing, I asked the doctor to check me for HIV. The symptoms were the same back then. You couldn't tell if it was HIV or if it was diabetes, simply because the symptoms were the same. You had dehydration, right? You had going excessive bathroom, all that good stuff, plus the weight loss.
Right. That had to
So,
be scary
to
even think that.
well, initially I was,
Okay.
but then I thought if I was going to find out, I needed to know now. That's the way I was thinking.
Right.
I wasn't feeling like myself, and I knew something was wrong.
Right.
Whatever it was, I wanted to fix it.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the wife now, did you call home to say anything?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Wasn't gonna worry your family.
Well, the thing about it was, I left home with a mission,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to call home and say, this is what's happening, and, things aren't going to work, I had too much pride for that. I mean, yeah, I'm sincerely, I had too much pride for it.
Boy.
In any event,
listen, I hope this story is helping somebody because there is some athlete that might be thinking the same way.
And I assured them they're going to get the same results.
Right. So I hope this is helping somebody because there's definitely a lot of men, one, not organ donors, and two, won't go get checked out. And we've had Mr. Sawyer, we have Mr. Lee, we've had, all the men, especially the men of transplant talk will tell you now, go get checked out. But I'm gonna let you go with the story. Go ahead.
But before I finish with my story, I want to reiterate what she said. We as black men, we need to consider being organ donors.
Yes.
Our race of people don't have enough donors. We don't. Our blood types are different. We have O positives and O negatives. These things are difficult to come by when we don't have us as men even considering it.
Right.
So in order for us to help our generation, just our people in general, black men, excuse me, audience,
Okay. But we're talking about black men, yes.
you need to consider being an organ donor. So, I mean, if you hadn't thought about it, just think about it. But anyway, so my wife took me to the emergency room. I asked to be checked for HIV. So when the doctor came to me, he said, Mr. Brewer, he said, you tested negative for HIV. He said, that didn't even cross my mind. He said, but you are positively a diabetic. Okay, so when can I get up? Diabetic. Okay, so what? I just need to work out?
Never heard of it before?
Didn't cross.
It ran in your family?
It ran in my family, but it's on my mom and my dad's side. But because I didn't call home, right? I didn't know any of this. So when he told me I was a diabetic, immediately, although I had never used a needle in my life and was scared to death, they would not allow me to leave the hospital until they trained me a week to use a needle because I would be using insulin from now on.
You were type 1 or type 2?
I was type 1 diabetic. And I guess the sad part about it is initially, when you're diagnosed, you don't believe it. When someone tells you something that you don't want to hear, of course, you don't believe it. I mean,
Right.
and so for a long time, I learned the hard way. I kept trying to, go get that drink. I kept trying to. Yeah, I did. I wanted to do all. You're going to tell a kid he can't have ice cream, and so it was difficult for me. I can speak for me. I can't speak for everyone.
Right.
I mean, the problem for it with me was it prevented me from doing and living the way that I wanted to live. And I had a problem with that. But I handled it wrong. I felt like I was going to do what I want to do regardless. You know what I mean? It could do its thing, but I would do my thing. So, but anyway, I became a diabetic. I began taking insulin from that point. Um, and then things just got kind of gloomy for me afterwards because I got a letter saying that because I didn't have these diabetes under control, that there was no place for me, not those words, but you had to have your diabetes under some kind of control before they even considered you in the league. So, guys, just letting you know, yeah, if that's where you plan on going, make sure your physical tight. They'll tell you. But I began doing insulin, and when I got that information, then I became depressed. So now here's my cycle now. So now what comes along with that is self-pity, uh, 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 unpredictability. Uh, you become paranoid. You think, for example, me. I had a girlfriend. Who's my girlfriend with? I mean, I'm taking insulin. I can't do the things I used to do. Things are different. I mean, you meet some women or some men who have their life. They just, they don't have time to help you with your life.
Right.
God bless me with Alicia. She and I, we Bonnie and Clyde. And I mean that literally. And I'm not going to go too far into that. But a part of my life was missing for 10 years because of my ignorance.
Wait. I'm going to put you on mute. Because I want to talk just for a second. You say for 10 years. 10 years. And let me tell y'all something. I'm watching y'all comments on what you all are saying. I'm watching it. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, Verna. Yeah. Hey, Derek. Hey, Larry. Definitely a emotional roller coaster, this quest that you were that you would expect for 10 years. You would think. So I just want to talk to my TTWN men. Y'all see right now we have another man that when we get ready to do the mental health talk, we have to include Bryan. We have to include him because what he's saying is very, very he's accurate. He's on point with and Larry saying we learn the hard way is what Larry is saying. Like men learn the hard way. And I just want everybody to just please pay attention because the transparency is real. Transparency is real because most men won't admit. Most men won't do this and admit that I was the problem. I had a problem with myself because in retrospect, some people try to self-destruct so you can head for self-destruction. But I'm so happy he's sitting here because y'all should see me looking at him saying, I can't believe that this is what he's saying. So we're going to let him, continue. Shout out to his wife because that's a ride. I got a few wives that's ride that's been on my show. And Alicia, I got to give her a t-shirt because she's definitely somebody that saw something and that was like, no, this is not good. Because some women don't look with that eye of something wrong with him. He wasn't even her man. And she said something wrong. So, oh my goodness. Yes, Miss Verna. Hi, Miss Verna. What a testimony. And yes, Miss Murray, we're going to let him keep going because I like to see this. I wish men would let real women, let real women that want to really rock with you see this type of transparency. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let him go. Okay.
Well, see the thing.
Go ahead.
It seems to me that my now wife, she had already encountered, I guess maybe that or seen somebody that went through it or whatever. So she was my comfort. She was the one, I guess, to keep me from feeling sorry for myself. She was the one to tell me, no matter what happens, I'll be here, regardless. If we get there, we get there. If we don't, I'm gonna be here until we don't. So that's the way that was. And from the time that I got out of the hospital and got the news and started taking insulin, I guess I couldn't make an adjustment to not being able to play sports. I couldn't make the adjustment of not occupying my time with something I love to do because I either didn't have the energy, the endurance, or the physical ability to achieve what I had done once before. So, I mean, for me to find out I was a diabetic was, most people would say, a wake-up call. But for me, at that time in my life, that was the last thing I wanted. That was the last thing I wanted because things weren't really going well for me. And so I had a series of things not going well. The old rain when it pours syndrome. And it was just crazy because it wouldn't stop. But it wasn't due to anything I was doing. It was to the way I was thinking. It had to do with my thinking. I remember my uncles and aunts used to call it stinking thinking, something like that. That's stinking thinking. Well, the thing about it is, If you gonna feel sorry for yourself, then ain't nobody else gonna be there to help you get yourself up. I mean, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Those who love you, they care enough for you to assist you, not to give to you their time for you to neglect. So I mean, it's a crazy kind of situation. I wouldn't wish diabetes on anyone, and especially because of what I had to go through in order to be here to speak with you today. I mean, I neglected the diabetes, the insulin, because you do know when you're a diabetic, you should eat 3 times a day. You do know you should take your insulin on time. You do know that you should check your blood sugar accordingly. You know your do's and don'ts. My thing is, I was still one of those persons who didn't want to have the do's and don'ts. I was just doing my do's, and the don'ts were taking a toll on me. The don'ts were taking a toll on me because now I'm not taking insulin twice a day. I'm taking it 3 times a day. I'm taking it 3 times a day now because I wanted to keep eating my wham whams and zoom zoom. I wanted to go. I bake cakes. I bake cakes and eat half-gallons of ice cream. That's what I do for a living. Listen, when you're an athlete, especially a football player, the thought is you need to gain weight. The thought is the more weight, the better function. That's not true. Know your family history. Know your stature. Know what your body can hold and what it can't hold. With that being said, like LaShonda said, I was 6'5", 265, and I was a beast. I was a beast. I was a beast. Diabetes had a way of, even when I felt good, it would make me feel bad. I wasn't like Charles. I didn't want to be walking around in public with bumps in my arms. I was so paranoid about it that when they told me I had to take dialysis, I told them I didn't want it. Not that I didn't take it, but I told them I didn't want it. But once again, like, I had some people in my corner who cared for me. And it happened to be a dialysis nurse by the name of Diane. I'll never forget her. She's the sweetest lady. And sometimes you have to understand that God put people in places just for you, because ever since then, she's not there anymore. So if you're not a believer, believe. God put people in places just for you. So what happened was, I began to take the insulin 3 times a day. Okay, that fell through because I continued to smoke cigarettes. I continued to drink. I continued to stay up 24 hours in a night. Yeah, I did all of that. And I took my 3 shots a day, and but I'm still thinking I'm the man, because I'm getting over, because even though I'm still taking these shots, I'm still doing what I want to do. But I ain't paying no attention to the shock that I'm giving to my organs, not just my kidney, my pancreas, my lungs, my gallbladder. All this stuff is coming into play with me saying, yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. I got it. So when I couldn't take insulin 3 times a day anymore, I had to do dialysis. But the funnier part about that is I couldn't get my dialysis until they put stents in my heart, because my heart wasn't strong enough to take the dialysis, because the kidney wouldn't pump the way that it should. I was making insulin, but I wasn't making enough.
Woo! Let me tell you something. I I I'm so grateful for you because all the men that have been on the show, they really have been, really transparent. But this story that you're telling, your story that you're telling, it's not my story, it's his story. This is why I created Transplant Talk with Nashonda, because you giving a word, for these people. And again, hello everybody that's watching. Michelle, Adrienne, Mama, hey Mama Gwen, said thank y'all for watching, because this really needs to be shared with a lot of people. So I need you all to text, tell, share this story, because the transparency again is just out of this world. So from where you just started, where now you got heart issues. I know about that. And again, I was married to someone that had congestive heart failure. So I know exactly what you're talking about in the mental state that he went in, because of, I'm no longer that big athlete. Now we talking about someone 6'1", 300 plus. So I have seen what mental health will do to someone, that will, or whatever this disease is, what it will do to someone that's an athlete, where you say, hey, I'm a beast. Because that's the way my late husband felt, like I'm a beast. Nobody's gonna get me. I'm on the field with all these guys. But these diseases don't discriminate.
No, not at all.
The diseases don't discriminate. Man, woman, red, yellow, black, or white. It don't matter. And it's your mindset. You got to change your words and change your mindset in order to get where it is that you need to go. So thank God for your wife, even though it took you a decade to get there. And now you have children that hopefully they listen to you and take heed to what you're saying, because you're saying this has affected you on both sides of your family, mom and dad. That's crucial. That is serious. And I promise, I know you got boys, so I definitely. How many boys you have? 3?
I have 3.
I have 3 boys. So therefore, we have to watch them. We have to watch what they're eating, and pretty much everything that they're doing has to be established. And they need an outline. They need a guide. They need a blueprint. Here's daddy. Here's the blueprint of what it is that you need to do. So thank God for you. Thank God for what road you went down, because now you can help your boys, for them to, not go through what you went through. So I'm going to move fast forward, because now you have to take dialysis, and we know that will, take a little while. I'm going to unmute me and then allow you to speak again. So we're looking at dialysis. And then when you were told that you needed to have a transplant, how did you feel? And then followed by, how did you feel the day you got the call that you were going to get both? So can we can do those two?
Oh,
all right. So
the dialysis nurse that I told you about, she was my angel. She and an insurance lady that was working with me at the time to get me on the transplant list, because what I did for my dialysis, I did peritoneal. I did home dialysis, simply because of the way that I felt about the hemodialysis. And the nurse also thought that I was too young to be doing hemodialysis.
Okay.
So for 7 years, I did the peritoneal dialysis. Um, I don't know if anybody who's doing dialysis know what I'm talking about, but it's simply a procedure where you don't have to go in. You can stay home overnight. You hook up, you do your dialysis, you get off it the next day, and you're doing your whole day over with. You get in that night, hook up again, go to sleep, wake up, and do it over again. I did that for 7 years. Okay. I think it was about, I'm going to say, I'll say October. I'm going to say it was about October 2013, 2012. I take that back. What happened was the nurses and the insurance people that I had, they had got me an interview with Tampa General Hospital Transplant Center. What came along with that interview was an evaluation of your character. Simply meaning, if you're doing dialysis and you're doing your dialysis according to the way that you're supposed to do them, that's a plus for you because they see you're responsible. Taking medications, you're evaluated at least 2 or 3 months before they give you a definite about if they can help you or not. So for 2 or 3 months, I waited around going back and forth to Tampa General from Bradenton. And on my last visit, the doctor told me, he said, I think you're a perfect candidate. He said, you're young, you're energetic, and you're responsible. That's what he said. But he didn't know I was dying inside. I was hoping that he said that I can get it. He said that I was a candidate. He didn't say I can have it. He just said I was a candidate. Okay. The thing that cheered me up after him telling me I was a candidate, he said, Mr. Brewer, he said, what if I can give you a kidney and a pancreas? That way you won't have diabetes anymore. I said, yeah, I'll take that. So he said, well, we'll consider that, like that, right? And so I said, okay. So that meeting went along, and then, I left, and now I'm just waiting around. I'm like everybody else. They didn't tell me they're going to put me on the list, but they didn't tell me when or whatever have you. Okay, to make a long story short, after that October, my wife and I, we took a vacation to Texas for Christmas. I think it was. Yes, we did. We took it for Christmas. And when we got back, I think after New Year's, I got a telephone call on the 12th of February. My wife and I had just laid down. Now, you got to understand, my wife don't take too kindly to women calling me at 2:30 in the morning. So we're I got a telephone call at 2:30 in the morning on the 12th. And initially, I missed the call because I was asleep. And so I heard the answering machine, and immediately I called back, and the lady said, "Mr. Brewer?" I said, "Yes, this is he." And she said, "Well, can you get to Tampa? We have a kidney for you." And I looked at my wife, and my wife said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, we on the way. We on the way." And so I got to Tampa, and it all happened so fast that it was unbelievable. It's like I said, it's like God just, you have to understand when I say, if anyone who's having dialysis knows what it's like to get on a waiting list for a transplant, then you would understand what I'm saying when it only took me 7 months. From the time I went to that interview, went home for Christmas, did New Year's, came back, I was blessed on February 12th to be called by Tampa General to get me a transplant. And I was excited. I think that's when I knew life was good. That's when I knew that I would get a chance to see Bryce come to school. I would get a chance to see Cameron, which is my youngest son, grow up. I would get a chance to see Amari, my middle baby. I mean, all this just, it came so fast that I just broke down and cried. I didn't, what else can you do? What else can you do? I mean, you literally got a second chance. That night we got there, we had to wait until the next morning because they had to make sure that both the organs, the kidney and the pancreas, And so when I got there, I waited, they prepped me. And so the next morning, I got my transplant. My wife said they showed her everything. When I came out, I was fine. I didn't feel like anything was wrong. I was hungry. I mean, they won't let you eat for a while. I was hungry. I was starving. And so I kept asking for something to eat, but my throat was sore from the tube. So, of course, I got the ice cream because I'm not a diabetic anymore. And I'm telling people this because there have been people who had transplants of kidneys and pancreases and still been diabetics. So don't get it twisted. See, so what I'm a spiritual person. I can't speak for everyone. But see, the things that happen for me and to me, I understand. I mean, I've laid down long enough to understand. So when LaShonda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I told her that I wanted to share this with her simply because since then, even my friends, my family who encounter diabetes, I talk to them the best I can with the best information I can give them. For the simple fact, what works for me is not going to work for them. What got me through it may not get you through it. What I can tell you is if you believe in whatever you believe in, and you make it up in your mind that you're going to be here, you'll be here. You'll be here because the same being that put you here for your purpose, you know, they say God has a purpose for us all. You're not going to go until it's done. So I'm good. I'm good with whatever happens now simply because he put me in a spot. If I didn't do what I was supposed to do then, it's a wrap. That's the way it is. So, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I need for black males to understand. If you're not having a feeling in your big toe, it's not because you stumped it. It could be because your blood circulation. It could be because the diabetes is giving you nerve atrophy. It could be any of the 1,000 things that could go wrong. The doctor's only telling you what he may think is wrong until you get the test. So you have to, I guess you have to play prevent defense. Does that make sense? You have to play prevent defense. You have to be engaged in helping the doctor help you. You can't go home just because he said you're fine and you're doing all right. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drink this half, but this fifth right here ain't gonna do nothing for me. I'm good. He said I was good. Listen, I've already said what worked for me may not work for you. See, what works for me is no alcohol. Even though now I would be lying to you if I tell you I don't drink, because when my beautiful wife wants to have a drink on her birthday or whatever occasion, yeah, I'll consider having a drink with her. But outside of that, no way. Anything that is going to jeopardize me losing this, then I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that because I sent up a prayer, and you know, prayers don't go unanswered. So, but anyway, listen, when your doctor tells you about anything, it doesn't have to be diabetes. Anything the doctor tells you as a black male, get your prostate checked, get your kidneys checked, get your lungs checked. If you had COVID, any of that, please be informed. The only live people now are people that are well informed. Information is power. Learn about what's going on with you as a person, and then you can negate anything else.
I thank you. Well, let me come back around. I thank you again for. I hope everybody can hear me. If I had 10,000 tongues, I don't think I could thank this man enough for just being this transparent and things that need to be heard. You know, secrets kill a lot of things, and definitely, especially in families, when you all don't say, you know, what's going on. So again, I say thank you. I do have a question where you just kind of nod your head. Do you know who your donor was?
Know who my donor was. I don't know about any other transplant centers, but the transplant place that I went to in Tampa, they prefer you not to meet the donor until about maybe, I think, 2.5 years or 3 years. During that time, I've lost contact with my donor family because he was a young European male. He was, I think, 27. Told me he had 2 daughters. He died in a car accident. You don't wish those kind of things. Even if it's for you, you don't want to hear that about a person has a family and then they die. I mean, I wasn't excited about it, but that was that person God put in that place for me, if that makes sense. Okay. God put people in places just for you. So,
wow. So again, wait a minute. Okay, guys, I hate that. I'm not mad that it went over because this information was powerful, and I appreciate him just being so transparent and letting everyone know the do's and don'ts and how to be able to be smart enough to just kind of protect yourself and protect your family. So anyone, right now that have any questions, Bryan is on, he is on Facebook. I'm telling you right now, I'm getting ready to do my telethon next month, August 21st, 2021. Mr. Bryan Brewer will be on my telethon because we have to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on. So, Mr. Brewer, I thank you again so much. Again, I don't think I could thank you enough. Thank you for everybody that was watching. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you, Malcolm. That was very sweet. Tell your beautiful wife, because that's another Shiro, and we're gonna have to have her on the show. So for everyone that watched, hey Derek, and again my mama, hello. I definitely want to say thank you. Are there any persons, Bryan, that you want to shout out? I know you said your kid's name.
Of course, I want to give a shout out to my boys as always. Bryce, I'll be there to get you in a minute, son. Stop calling me. And Mari, I love you, man. Just keep your head up. You're going on the right path, man. Just keep stepping. Cameron, I'll be with you a minute. Hey, guys, I love you, baby.
Thank y'all. Just gonna remove it from the screen. All right, I know he has to, get his son again at EW, Edward Waters University. So again, thank you all. Look, next week, my guest is already lined up. His name is Mr. Rico Johnson, yes, of the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University again. And he marched in the Marching 100 with me. So look, we ready. And guess what? He is in Jacksonville too. So we don't know how that's going to go, but we will see. I'm loving this. Thank you all so much. The energy was everything for me. This man was just awesome. Just an awesome testimony. So until next time, and all of your get some understanding in everything that this man said, everything that Mr. Bryan Brewer said. He's still a beast. We're not going to take that away from him. He is still a beast, because only a beast could get up and say all the things that he just said today. So Bryan Beast Brewer is who you all had in front of you all today. So thank you all. Until next week, stay tuned. And guys, be good to one another and be kind. God bless you all so much. Bye-bye.